Hey. Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going great. How are you? Good morning.
So we're going to do a big topic today.
Toxicity.
Toxicity. And I can say I don't know much about this topic. And I'm not saying I'm not toxic,
You're not toxic.
but I'm saying I don't know. I feel like
We went on a walk yesterday.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we had this whole conversation about toxicity, and it felt like it was a really good breakthrough. So we wanted to talk about it on here so we could give you guys kind of like the rundown of what
the 1-2 punch.
the 1-2 punch of what we got to yesterday.
Right. And I think I've associated toxicity with patterns or like things that happen again and again and again. That you're like, why am I still in this loop?
Yeah. It's very much this like repetition of like, okay, why am I here again?
Right.
How did I get here? What's the issue? And I feel like it's, for me, like I've definitely been in a lot of toxic situationships, if you will.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have this conversation. It almost feels like it's this loop on repeat that I had this conversation with all my friends too, who are like, why am I in this again? How does this keep happening?
Right.
And it's frustrating for sure, but I think maybe we figured out possibly why yesterday. Can I go that far?
I don't know if we solved toxicity.
No.
But we were definitely talking about like why it's so addicting to go back or like to come back to something that's not good for you or period.
Yeah.
And I was saying that I think it's because in a relationship or a friendship or something, you have two people that have a connection to each other, and sometimes the connection's not equal. Mm-hmm. And that might be the addicting part, because one person's like, why aren't they into me? Why aren't they into me? And the other person's like, wow, this is a lot of emotion being thrown my way, and it feels good to be like loved after, you know?
Yeah.
So it creates a cycle of like, I don't want to be with you completely, but I'll let you bow down at my feet. And then on the other side, it's like, why don't they like me? Why not? What is it? Is it me? And it's not. It's like usually something so obscure. And like, it's just like, it's just falling short just a tiny bit. And it's nothing to do with the person. I feel like it's just whether it's an attraction thing or a connection thing.
Or I think it can be too, like, so you have this initial attraction to the other person, whether that's like you meet in person or you meet on an app, and it's like, okay, we're initially attracted to each other, and then you get involved and you like are hooking up or you're dating. And I think where maybe the toxicity comes in is there's this like you said, this mismatch where one person's like, I'm coming at this from wanting a relationship, or it doesn't even have to be that much. I'm coming at this from wanting to hang out with this person on the weekends here and there, and I expect them to like respond to me in a timely manner. And the other person's like coming at it from, I want to hit up this person at 11 p.m. for a booty call every other Saturday, and I don't want to talk in between. And so I think where the toxicity comes in is those two things are mismatched from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then one person is feeling a certain way, the other's feeling another way, and they're not going to ever meet in the middle. So it just creates this like loop scenario where the one person keeps reaching out, they're not being responded to, the other one's annoyed but still wants them around, so I think there's this,
and they're both addicted to like the final meetup in different ways,
or they both have certain things that they're addicted to. Like maybe one is like, oh, I'm okay to go through it for this one thing. Like that could be like, oh, I'm still fixated on those few first times we hung out, and I had this feeling of like, for example, I loved snuggling with them after we hooked up, and they're looping back to that and being like, oh, but it's worth it for me to try to get that thing again, but they're not going to get it.
Subconsciously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like that one thing they're so fixated on will keep them going in the loop cycle.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I think it made a lot of sense. All of a sudden I was like, whoa.
Yeah. And then when you do find a person that has equal attraction for you, like say you're like, I don't want anything serious right now. And then you meet someone that's like, I don't want anything serious right now. And it makes them have like a that's so Raven moment of like, what? You're
like,
just like me. And then the attraction starts to grow at an equal, or like the opposite where it's like, I've been looking for you all my life. And it's like, I've also been looking for you all my life.
You're like, oh my God. And it's like stars lining and crashing.
Right. I think it's just like you got to be on that same level.
You're
and then, yeah. And then I think where it gets sticky is people are like, women or men are attracted to people that are unavailable, which I'm not saying that's not true.
Right.
But I think there's a bit more to it with the whole like breaking down the game aspect.
Yeah.
Like,
or I think, the game, like, oh my gosh, the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. But then I think maybe the game stems from misaligned.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've discussed like in previous episodes, like, is playing games a good idea in the beginning?
Right.
And, you guys can listen back to that episode if you haven't listened to it yet. It's a good one where we kind of hash out like, both sides of the equation. And I think with toxicity, where it can also fall into this bad cycle is when one person or both parties start to give up things that are like really they're non-negotiables and are really important to them, and then they're just in it and it's actually just so draining. And you're completely exhausted from being like, oh my God, this person isn't showing up in the way I want them to, whatever that may be.
Right. But if you accept that, like, oh, I'm a Monday, Tuesday girl. And like, I don't want to be, but I really like this person. And and I'm going to be okay with it, I guess. And then they go, oh, okay, she's okay with being a Monday, Tuesday girl. Perfect. I'll keep her as a Monday, Tuesday girl. And then I'll go see, like, I think
if you want to be the Monday, Tuesday girl, it's great.
But it's the accepting part. And then if you were to be like, hell no, I'm not your Monday, Tuesday girl, then that makes the other person be like, what? You're not okay with my foul behavior?
They're like, I thought you were.
Oh my God, I respect you so much now.
And they come crawling back at the doorstep.
Yeah, that's such an interesting concept because when you like separate and like for whatever reasons, like I just can't have you be my boyfriend right now, or I can't have you be my girlfriend right now, or I really want you to be. And then when you have this meetup, regardless of your feelings, but like, you're not supposed to be together, it makes the oxytocin in your brain go boom, 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 boom. And you're like, yes, oh my gosh. And then once that's over, you're back to the whole like, we can't. And then it just gets more and more dramatic as time goes on. And the more toxic, the more addictive it gets.
Right. And then you're like fully in the loop cycle of just like around the washing machine, like getting on tumble cycle. Like, oh my God, how did I get here again? Also, another thing that's interesting, if you are in a situationship.
Okay, wait. What is a situationship? I've heard that a lot recently.
Oh, yeah. So a situationship is like, you're not officially together. Okay. You're like kind of in a hookup scenario where you're like not dating. It's nothing official, but you're definitely consistently like seeing each other and kind of doing things together.
Oh.
So it's like a situationship where no one wants to be like, oh, we're dating, but they're also like not dating and doing things. So it's like you might go over, for a booty call on Saturday night, but you also like might go and do something on Wednesday and like go watch the game together. But it's nothing like no one's saying it's like you're my boyfriend and I'm your girlfriend and we're dating.
I got it.
Yeah.
So sorry.
There's a lot of those going on.
Yeah.
And it's like very much, I think, stemming from the hookup culture of like where people are non-committal, but they also still want someone around.
Right.
So it's interesting. And again, if that's what you want, that's amazing. But also too, I think this is a really good sign actually. If you're in either a relationship or a situationship or you're just hooking up with someone and you're kind of like, your friends are like, what's up? Like, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, nothing. Like, I'm just at home watching a movie. And you're like actually with the person. Like, if you're trying to actively hide what you're doing, it's probably not a good idea.
Well, that goes for most things.
Yeah,
Like
but
if you're
like we do
drinking
it.
and telling nobody that you're drinking, that's called alcoholism.
Correct.
So I can
like-
imagine. I mean, like your friends, like your close friends, they're like, "Where are you?" And you're like, "At home alone with nobody next to me."
No one next to me. I'm not addicted to this dick.
Yeah, that's not good.
Not good. But I think that's part of the toxic cycle too, because when your friends start to be like, "Hey, this doesn't seem like it's good for you. You don't seem happy."
Oh, and then
in
you start
this."
hiding it from them,
Right?
Because they don't approve.
Right. Then that's like even a bigger sign that this is so not what you should be doing.
So how do you get yourself out of a toxic loop? Say you're like, you could easily be like, oh, how do you avoid toxic relationships? Easy. But how do you get yourself out of the loop of it? Like if you see this multiple times in a row.
Yeah, I think two-part. I think from the get-go, you have to really be super honest with yourself and be like, what do I actually want out of this? Because I've done this a lot where I've been like, oh, we all think people can change, or like it might turn into something different, or you put this expectation that the person might change, and you hold on to these little signs that you're like, oh, well, the one time they asked me to come out and hang with,
reading into it.
Reading into things that like deep down, actually what this is, and just being really honest with
what you want,
and being honest that person might not be that. And you have to be okay with like, I trying to walk away from an earlier point. But if you're already in that, I think for me, at least, it's like the initial cutoff is really hard. Like that first time you're like, really want to respond back and you don't.
And I always do.
Right. Exactly. I always do. And then I'm back in the loop and back in the cycle.
It's like such a quick reaction to like, it'll pop up on my phone and I'm like, yep. And I'm like, why did you just do that? What was that?
You're like, oh my God, why did I just impulsively respond?
And then the second one kind of sinks in a bit slower maybe, but not really.
Yeah.
But if these are all together or spaced out, like I'd say if you ended things with somebody and they hit you up again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, hi, how's it going? I don't want to be mean. And that's what you say.
And then in your head, you're thinking, oh my gosh, they hit me up. Wow, they're thinking about me. So then you kind of, the toxicness can come into that after hit up where they're like, you've kind of made the distance. You're like really proud of yourself. And then they slide back in and they're like, hey, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But that's the real test, I think.
Yeah.
If you at that point can just kind of let it be, I think then when the second or third, or when the third or fourth hit up comes, you're kind of in a better place to just be like, no, I'm good on this.
Yeah.
So it's like those first and second hit ups, you're really tempted to hit that respond.
Yeah.
But then after that, you're like, oh, I'm good.
Been here before. Don't know if I want to be here again.
Thinking I don't.
And it starts to fade a bit. But it's definitely those first times I've just responded so quick and been like, you didn't want to respond to that.
Yeah.
Why? And then the third time comes and you're like, I've seen this snake before.
I know him.
And then the fourth one, you're like, not going to get me. I am a free bird.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, it's good to like get out of these if you can. Again, I think it's like a learned response to kind of see how you're in these patterns and then to kind of break them. I think it's very much something we can all, like a place we can all get to with learning where our weaknesses are in that.
Yeah.
But I also think it's, when you do meet someone who is on the same playing field as you and has the same things they want, I think there's an ease that comes with it. Like you're like, why? But we're so conditioned to think it has to be hard and has to be, have some like game and toxicity that when it does feel easier and it does feel like people are showing up, you're like, well, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Which is so messed up.
Yeah, like what I was saying in the games episode where I'm like, if they respond too quick, it's like, what do you got going on? Do you not have anything going on?
Yeah.
But like if it's reciprocated, I think It's chill.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice. You're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is so weird.
Yeah.
Like I've had that recently and I'm like, my mind is like, well, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And it's like, nothing's wrong.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I was looking at different hormones in the brain, like what is this exact
Like
thing?
moment?
Because I think I'm pretty level-headed when it comes to this kind of stuff. And like I
You
have
are.
a really non-addictive personality.
Yeah.
Like I've like delved into things. Like I was in Europe and I smoked cigarettes. And then the second I was out of Europe, I was like, yeah, I'm good on those.
Yeah.
But
There's
like
something that shifts.
it's also Europe. Yeah.
It's also Europe.
But like I just don't have an addictive personality, I think. And so I was really looking at these hormones because when I have that happen, like you have somebody that you used to date or something and they hit you up, it's like something overtakes me. Like I'm like in 5th grade again with a crush and I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, it's him.
Hey, how's it going? And then I'm
cool.
like, what just happened? Am I all right?
Take it down and not chatty.
Yeah. So I was like looking it up and I've seen a few things that are like women and men have different things released when they have sex. So women are like, yeah, whatever, I'm not that interested. And we learned this in anthropology. But I've got some questions about it. They say like women have this thing where they're like, yeah, I'm not that into it. And that makes the man be more like, okay, baby, I'm going to try to pursue you and try to have sex with you. And then once they finally have sex, the girl is like, oh my gosh, it's kismet. I love him so much. And then the guy is like, don't want to see you. Or
He's like, I'm
don't
good
touch
now.
me. Don't. And I get that. But also, I don't know because
Do you think it's a learned trait or do you think it's chemical?
well, that's the thing. That's
Yeah.
the thing is they say it's chemical, but I really like,
I mean,
I really don't want to hang around after doing the dirty.
you're like, I'm
I'm
good.
like, cool. See ya.
Like, see you later.
Like, don't touch me. don't no. Like, I don't want to hang out the rest of the day. I don't know.
oh
and
my God.
But that makes me think like,
You're like, I'm good. I'm going to head out now.
right. And I think like there's got to be other girls like me. And,
Yeah.
And I think, are they just telling, who's saying that? I mean, I know there's
Yeah.
some science around it, but like, that just seems so, I hate that it's being said
Yeah.
that girls are like, after you have sexual intercourse, you're going to be a slave to the D. And you can't change anything about that because of your chemical makeup in your brain. And men move right along. It's like, I'm sorry. I don't know how like you can generalize, oh yeah, all of these females' brains. I don't know.
I know. I think it's something I've wondered about for a long time because it's such a societal, like mainstream idea that like women get attached after sex, then men are uninterested, and it's this like cat and mouse game.
Right.
And that's how the world works. And oh, you can't do anything about it because that is your genetic makeup and your hormones.
Right.
And so it's like, then there's this weird like power dichotomy where it's like, oh, the men are like, oh, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna roll right into the club and find another broad. Like, that's it. And that's your fate. But I don't know. I mean, like maybe you just haven't found that person that does that for you yet, where you're like, oh, I want to hang around and like be with this person. But maybe
Yeah.
you're also just a person who like wants their alone time and independence after that.
I do.
So,
I do, but I also think the right person I would want to like hang out with.
I think so. I mean, for me, like I just love to, I call it pod. Like I just love to be like touched and pod. So like,
Oh, pod, like PAW.
yeah, yeah. But like, that's something I'm like, I don't,
After
Yeah.
you like to be pod.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
or like I'm very physical. And so I like people touching me a lot.
Yeah.
But that's also not something like that's something that comes way later in a relationship. So I know that like I kind of have to be I got to like hold that back a little bit.
Right.
Because that could freak people out. Especially a guy in the meeting. Come on.
Like if you're pawing them after sex.
Yeah.
I also don't like kissing. But here's the thing.
You're not the first person that said that.
Really?
I have so many people who are like, I am not a big kisser. I actually had an ex who didn't like to kiss.
Really?
He was like, it's just weird to me. And I was like, that's
like
really
I would
odd.
want to kiss somebody that I like want to hang out with and like talk to and like really want to like that I'd want to see more.
Yeah.
But then if I don't
sorry, keep going.
if I don't want to, then I don't know. Just kiss. Ugh. That's so intimate to me.
Yeah.
Kissing.
It's the most intimate thing. It's actually
like, here are your eyes, here are your lips.
Yeah, you're like,
here we are.
Staring at
Here we
them.
are. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, this is so intimate. Oh my gosh, you're looking at me while I'm closing your eyes and vice versa. Oh my, ugh.
What is the, okay, so is someone who makes out with you with open eyes a deal breaker?
Weird, dude. Yeah,
It's
of course.
So weird.
In any circumstance.
It's so scary. You're
I think if you're married, you're still like, okay, weirdo.
That's like serial killer vibes. Don't look at anybody when you're making out with them.
I actually do that.
It's so scary.
Well, because I want to see what they're doing while they're kissing me. Because I'm like, are you enjoying this? Because I'm like, I don't know.
What if you're both staring at each other? That's so weird.
I also feel like I put tongue in at like weird times.
Like to tongue or not to tongue.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm so bad at it. Maybe I'm a bad kisser, but like I'm always like, okay, lip, tongue, and then they're like teeth, and I'm like, no, I thought we were going tongue on that one.
So yeah, it's like a dance, but you're thinking about it. You're like, oh, tongue, no tongue, lip.
Yeah, I think it gets to a point when you really like someone that you're like, I'm not thinking about this.
Right.
But definitely when it's like, okay, here we go. We're going in for the kiss. Oh gosh, okay. So then I've got to do this little kiss dance and be like, I'm just a girl. Ooh, lips and tongue and teeth.
Never kissed anybody before.
And then it's like, okay, bottom lip.
Like,
and then like, do you slide your tongue in like wide? Like,
well, some people
like that, or do you go like? I always my fault is I always go with the pointer tongue, and so I'm like knock knock knock.
That's the pointer. It's such a thing because some people come in so hard with the tongue, like right away, and it's a lot. But then like the teeth forward people, those are scary because I feel like I'm gonna lose a front tooth. They just come in so aggressive,
or just like the full tongue, like.
Or then the one they just like put their whole mouth on you're like, this is a no-go for me. Like I can't do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, kissing is and it's usually the first thing you do. So you're like, oh, like, is this a read on how everything else is going to go down? Because I don't know if I want to go down that road.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah. Kissing it's very telling, but it's also like you're saying, it's the most intimate thing.
Yeah.
But I think you can learn how to kiss better.
Maybe I am toxic.
I don't think you're toxic.
I'm like, don't kiss me. Don't look at me after we hook up. I don't want to talk to you. Knock, 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 says the tongue.
The little pointer.
You like that?
I'm going to walk away now. No, I think you're just like honest with what you like and you don't like. And I think that's another point of like matched or mismatched, right? Like, are you matched on these, like, not only what you want, but are you matched on these like physical attributes too? Like, do you like, I think there's like a learning curve for sure with like intimacy, and, you know, anybody can learn to be better at certain things and like be taught by their partner. But there is a certain degree of kind of matching up and aligning on that stuff, I would say.
Right.
Especially sex drives. Like
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If I were ever in a like love of my life relationship and the guy didn't have a sex drive, I'd have to break it off.
Yeah. Oh, I know so many people who have said that.
That is so like,
Yeah.
but also I think there's something to be said about men and toxic masculinity being like, but if you don't want to like, if I initiate and there is no reciprocation, you're cut off forever.
Like that's done.
I am not understanding.
Benito.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. No,
That's a
like
tough one.
Yeah, but I think it's so important because that's not going to last over the years.
Yeah.
One person's going to feel inadequate. One's going to feel like they're like too much,
Right.
and that I just don't know if that's a lasting scenario. I think there has to be some sort of like medium ground where you guys are either like, yeah, if you aren't super sexual or don't have a huge sex drive and you're with someone who's kind of aligned on it, great. But I think if people are on opposite side of the spectrums, like I think that's only going to cause unhappiness. And, you know, I'm sure there's scenarios where it works for people, but I think 9 times out of 10, it's like a misaligned thing and it's going to really bother one person or the other. Like, I think I mean, it's a huge, otherwise, like without sex, you're just roommates.
Well, hold on. No.
Oh, I guess too. I take that back.
Nope.
Intimacy
Can't take it back.
Take a lot of. Can't take that back. I can so not take that back. But like, you can have intimacy on a lot of different levels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's one of them, and
Yeah.
you have to be somewhat aligned on it. I think.
Yeah. You got to be aligned.
Yeah.
And that also makes me think, well, because I haven't really been in a long relationship, I guess. My longest relationship always goes for a year and 11 months. Every single time, the last 3 relationships I've had, I don't know. But I just hit a point where I'm like, must be going now.
And I'll be gone.
Yeah. But with the kissing thing, like maybe I do have a match out there that like when we kiss it flows and all of a sudden I know how to kiss.
Yeah.
But like
I think it will.
I think too much in that stage. And like I was seeing this guy for a bit and he was trying to teach me how to kiss. But I don't know if we had good kissing chemistry. It was cute. It was
he like do this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it was cute. It was fun.
It's fun.
But it never really linked up. It was never like, aha, we figured it out.
Well, I can think of like...
But I think that's a me problem. I think because I'm like, I don't know if I really want to be kissing you.
I think that's just a misaligned problem. I think you haven't been seeing people you're truly aligned with.
I know. I need to...
Well, I can think of a few very like specific people in my past that I've been like, wow, this just seems like it works.
Oh, okay.
And haven't even thought about it, but you're like in it and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm just not thinking about anything. And it's very few. But like it does happen and come up and you're like, that just worked. Mm-hmm. That just things just went and I wasn't even thinking about it. And you're just like, do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. And I think that's when it works.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you know, try to be honest with what you want. Like, you know, and then
I know, but I think I'm too honest. And then I end up giving chances to people that I'm not even attracted to. Because I haven't met anybody to my standards. Yeah. So then I'm like, well,
give it a shot.
Yeah.
See what happens. I don't think there's anything wrong with giving it a shot as long as you're honest with like.
And you don't drag it on.
Right. Exactly. Toxic. As long as you're not like 2 years down the road and you're like, I want you, but I don't want you.
Yeah, that's not nice.
Yeah. And I don't think you do that.
And I think I have a lot of people that tell me my standards are too high. And even though I haven't like necessarily been like, that completely exists, but I kind of am. I can't change my standards. I'm right where I'm.
You shouldn't, because those are going to be components of aligning with someone. I don't think you should change your standards. I think, you know, there's certain things that, of course, like no relationship's going to be perfect. No partnership's going to be perfect. And there are going to be things that you're going to have to like learn to live with, but they shouldn't be major things
Yeah,
where
deal
it's
breakers
like,
where you're like, it's fine.
yeah. And you're like, oh, it's fine. I'm going to overlook that. It's
Right.
like, okay, there's small things in every relationship that the other person has had to overlook. And that's life, I think. There's no perfect, but I think standards should be held because it's the things that really matter to you.
Right.
Those are your standards.
Right. Okay. So then I have like all my girlfriends kind of make fun of me for the guys I end up hooking up with because they're like, you have the weirdest taste in men.
They're like, that is something else.
But like and I know a lot of other girls are like this, but like if a guy is hot, like 10 out of 10 hot, but a dummy, get away from me.
Oh,
I can't, I don't want to look, I don't want to have a conversation with you. I absolutely do not want to lay in a bed with you.
Brain personality is so attractive to me.
Right. And you're like, okay, we're having a good conversation. Oh my gosh,
like,
this is so fun. We're laughing. 6 weeks goes by and you're like, I'm not that attracted to this person.
Exactly. Because you need both things.
Right.
You can't have one without the other.
I know. And I think I sacrifice too much sometimes.
Right.
Really, I'm saying a lot.
It's okay. It's what we're here for. So, I mean, hold your standards. I don't think it's bad to have them. You'll find someone you're aligned with.
Hold your standards. That goes back to the toxicity thing where it's like, what are you willing to accept and not accept? Are you willing to accept somebody that's not calling you back or somebody that's just not treating you the way that you want to be treated? No, hold your standards.
Hold your standards.
Or you can repeat those patterns until you learn the hard way.
Yeah. You're just going to be in a loop cycle forever.
Yeah.
Until you break out of it. But hold your standards. We'll let you know how it goes.
Yep, hold those things. See you later. Hasta luego.